In this video, I'm going to show you how to install Fallout London. In fact, I'm going to show you two ways to do it. I'm going to show you the quick way first, so that if you really want to get up and running, you can do that. And then I'm going to show you the slightly better way second of all. But before I do that, there are a few things you need to get sorted before we install this mod. Firstly, I recommend installing Fallout London onto a completely unmodded version of Fallout 4. And if you're using a mod manager, which I highly recommend, the easiest way to do this is to create a new profile that is completely empty just for Fallout London. Now, if you are on Vortex, you can do this by simply going along to where it says Add Fallout 4 Profile, click it, type in the name of the profile, and then I recommend selecting this profile has its own save games and this profile has its own game settings. Click Save and then find it and hit Enable. And now you have a completely unmodded game. If you are using Vortex and you didn't see a profile tab here, go along to Settings and under the Interface tab, go down until just below Advanced, you will see Enable Profile Management. Make sure this is selected and you should then be able to see the Profiles tab. The second thing you're going to need is the full version of Fallout 4 and all of its DLCs, or the Game of the Year edition. At the time of making this video, you also are going to need what we call the last gen version of the game. If you're on GOG, if you've bought Fallout 4 there, there's no problem, that's the version you've got. However, if you've got the Steam version and you have already upgraded to the next gen version, you will need to downgrade to build 1.10.163.0. Now, there is an automatic downgrader on the Nexus for Fallout London, and you can try that, although I will say a number of people, including myself, have had some issues there. So some of you might want to manually downgrade. I have a step-by-step video guide of how to manually downgrade your game. I will leave a link to that down below, along with a link to the Fallout London downgrader page on Nexus. And thirdly, you're going to need a GOG account because that is where the mod is hosted. I will have a link down below to my affiliate link. You can click on that to take you to GOG. And of course, if you do, it helps me out a little bit because I do get a small commission on anything you buy. Although you should know, this mod is free. Obviously, the first step in installing this mod is to download it. So go along to GOG, search for Fallout London, and then scroll down until you can see the Fallout London panel and click on Add to Library. This will add the mod to your library, and you can either click the shortcut to take you to the page, or you can find it in your owned games and click there to get to the same place. And then to download the mod, simply go up to where it says Install, click on the button, and then you will be asked for a location to download the mod to. Please note, this is asking where you should download the mod. It's not asking where you have Fallout 4 installed. I'm just going to download the mod to the default location. And because this is not actually the game, I would not bother creating a desktop shortcut. I would also not have automatic updates. I would check the updates myself. That's up to you. Once you've made your decisions, click on Install and it will start to download the mod. Now, whilst we're waiting for the download to complete, let's talk about installation. You see, there are two ways to install this mod. You can install it directly into your Fallout 4 game via the launcher that comes with the mod, or you could use your mod manager to install the mod. I personally recommend the latter, but installing it directly is a little quicker. It will save you a couple of minutes. I personally don't think it's worth saving a couple of minutes, but I know some of you are really chomping at the bit, so I am going to show you the direct method first. To install the mod via the launcher, simply go along to the GOG page for Fallout London, head to the top and press the play button. The installer will start and you will press the install button. A message will pop up warning you that you are about to make irreversible changes to the Fallout 4 game. That is what happens when you use this direct installer rather than installing via a mod manager. If you install the mod this way and you change your mind and want to play the normal Fallout 4 again, you will have to reinstall Fallout 4. If you are sure that this is how you want to install this mod, check the location that it has found for your game. Is it correct? For me, it is. It's installed in my Steam directory. If not, you can click on Change Location and set it yourself. Once you're happy with the location of installation, simply click the Install button and the process will begin. It'll take a little time. And once it's finished, you will have two options now, Update and Play. Simply click the play button to check that the game is working. And if all went well, you will get to the menu and be able to start a new game. Please note that this mod requires Fallout 4 script extender, which means you must run the game from the script extender executable. It's probably a good idea to set up a shortcut for yourself by going along to wherever the game is installed. For me, it's on Steam, Steam Apps, Common Fallout 4, and find an executable marked f4se_loader.exe. Don't worry if the .exe is missing for you, it just means you're hiding known extensions. Once there, right-click on it, go down to Send To, and then select Desktop Shortcut. This will make a shortcut on your desktop that you can use to execute Fallout London from now on. Now, for those of you who were only interested in the quick way to install the mod, the rest of this video can be skipped. However, before you rush off, there are 3 more very important things you need to do. 3 essential fixes for Fallout London, and I'm covering them in another video. I will leave a link to that video in the description and at the end of this video. So if you're going to stop here, that's great, but you should watch that video. Installing Fallout London via a mod manager is actually very easy. You're going to start by opening up GOG and going along to where you installed Fallout London. From there, you will find the little settings icon next to where it says play. Click there, go down to Manage Installation and click on Show Folder. I can then close GOG. These are the files that we're going to be using to install the mod. Next, you're going to need your mod manager. I'll be using Vortex, but the principles will be the same no matter which mod manager you use. Double check that you are on the Fallout London profile that you created earlier, and then switch back to the folder that you just opened. The files that you need at this point are all in the data folder, and if you're using Vortex, all you actually need to do is left click and hold and drag this data folder down to where it says drop files and release. It will then start to import all of the files inside that folder and create an archive for you. This might take quite some time. If your mod manager tool does not have such a feature, you will probably have to create an archive manually using an archive program. I would recommend 7-zip if you don't already have such a program. You would then right-click on the data folder and find the archive program. Here I've got 7-zip, and add to archive. It would then ask for a name, and you would probably use a name such as Fallout London, and then you would hit OK. It would start creating that archive, and once the archive was complete, you would import that into your mod manager. Once the new archive is imported, you'll need to install on Vortex. I just click there, and the new archive is down here. It may take a few seconds because it's a fairly big archive. This mod does have multiple plugins, and Vortex is asking me if I wish to enable all, and the answer is yes, I do. I wish to enable all of those. I also want to rename this. It's got a bad name by default, so I'm going to double click here and then change the mod name to, surprise, surprise, Fallout London. I'm also going to set the version here so I can keep track of this, and I'll find that out by going to GOG Galaxy, the Fallout London page, going back to the settings icon and manage installation, configure. If I look there, it will tell me the current version is 2.31 revision 2. Add that to the details, and now I've got the main files installed. The next thing we need to do is transfer the configuration files, and we're going to be transferring those to where our game settings are. So if you're on Vortex, you should go to Open and go down to Open Games Settings folder. There will be a similar place on your mod manager in all probability. This is where you will find things like the Fallout 4 INI file. And going back to the GOG Galaxy Games / Fallout London file that we opened right at the start of this process, you need to go along to __config and copy these two files. So select them both and then copy and paste them into here and replace the files in the destination. You can now close the game settings folder. Go back to Vortex. Now you need to open the game's application data folder. If your mod manager does not have a similar option, you'll need to find it yourself using Windows Explorer. And as you can see, it's in the users folder on the main drive. For me, it's under users, Gopher, app data, local, Fallout 4. You'll know you're in the right place because it's where you've got things like plugins, text, and load order text. Once again, I'm going back to the GOG Galaxy Games Fallout London folder I opened earlier. This time, going back up, I'm going into __ app data. I'm going to select all 4 of these files. I'm going to copy them and paste them in here. Replace the files in the destination as before. And then we can close this folder. I'm going to go back up once again to Fallout London because we've come close to finishing the installation of the mod now. One last thing is the script extender. If you look at the files that come with the installer, there are 5 files that begin with F4SE_. These are the script extender files that this game needs. Now, you could copy these to a folder and then create an archive for the script extender and install from here if you wanted. But I actually recommend installing the script extender the good old-fashioned way by downloading it from Nexus. I'll go straight there now. Here it is, the Fallout 4 scripter page. Go along to Files, and then you will need the version that is appropriate for the last gen game, which is 0.6.23. This is the one you're going to want. It's basically the first of the old files right now. I've already got that here. I can now enable it. And don't worry about conflicts. This is occurring because we've already installed some of the script extender files along with Fallout London in the data folder. Simply go along to the conflict icon, click on it, and then decide whether or not this should be before or after. It actually does not matter which you pick. They are the same files. I'm going to have the script extender win this one. As I said, absolutely irrelevant which you pick. And now the mod is actually completely installed. However, that does not mean we are finished quite yet. I want you to now open up the game folder. You can do that from Vortex by just open game folder right there, and then run the Fallout 4 launcher. This will then detect your video hardware, etc. You want to go into options, make sure it's correct because it's not correct for me. Set whatever settings you want, change things. For example, I do not want motion blur because it's evil. Click OK. This will set the resolution for your game. I'm going to click exit. And because Fallout London requires the script extender, you absolutely will need to be running the game from the f4se_loader executable file. And so I would highly recommend going along, right-clicking on this file. Oh, don't worry if you don't see the .exe, by the way. All that means is if you go to View, you don't have file name extensions visible ticked. I would actually recommend you do select that. It's under View, File Name Extensions. But this is the file you want. I'm going to right-click on it. I'm going to go down to Send To, and then I'm going to select Desktop, Create Shortcut. I now have an icon that will run the game directly. You can go along here, change the properties, set an icon, etc. I have already done that and have one set up right here. And I'm just going to run the game to make sure I'm getting into Fallout London. And there you are, ladies and gentlemen, the Fallout London menu. And that is almost it. I say almost because, as I mentioned halfway through this video, there are still 3 things that you really must do to make sure this mod works well. I've covered those 3 things in another video, and I will link it at the end of this one and in the description down below. And so, all that is left to say is thank you for joining me on this video. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you can join me on the next video too. I look forward to seeing you there, and until then, remember as always, have fun.